You know, I do gotta say, we have a really good episode on our hands. There's a number of things in this video that I think you guys are gonna really enjoy seeing. Either way, we are back with another episode of upcoming mods for Fallout 4, the series where I show you currently work in progress mods by different mod authors in the community. We have a range of things to show you in this episode, different equipment, different quests, different experiences in Fallout 4 and other games, as you could probably tell by the title of this video. I've listened to your feedback and many of you want the intros and these shorter, so the one thing I do want to say is I could tell from the analytics a lot of people watching this series aren't actually subscribed, so I do encourage you to subscribe. I do post a lot of content like this and a lot of stuff coming soon about the E3 conferences, both Bethesda's, CD Projekt Red's, and even Obsidian's. But with all that being said, we could just jump into this regular video. Starting things off, we have the Winchester M1897. So, as you could probably tell, this is going to be new shoddy coming into Fallout 4, and a very iconic one at that. There's kind of a mad dash to actually get pump action animations about a year ago now, or a little bit over that, and following that, we got a number of things in this category. But in the time since that, it actually has fallen pretty short. A lot of people now use the hunting shoddy that you do see by Deadpool 2099, that both because it's an awesome piece of equipment, but also it does have that nostalgia effect from Fallout New Vegas. But this thing, looks really cool, and even beyond that, it actually has a lot more going on with it than some of the alternatives out there. This image is actually going to be an oil filter base suppressor, something that's kind of handmade and just meant to be kind of interesting on it. And you also do have a more modern one that you've seen time and time again. It's also going to feature some of those different energy conversions or just general conversions for this. This is another thing we've seen in the past, and I'm always a huge fan of it. As you can see, they look very homemade, and I love that look in Fallout 4. I think it fits the theme of the game really well, and not enough people take advantage of it. And it actually labels this one as a cryo. It looks like it'd be plasma or something like that, but either way, another one that I really like the look of. It just looks cool, it looks interesting, and it looks kind of high tech. And of course, we'll have some of the other standard features, sights, scopes, different attachments, and things like that. But the other really standout part about this mod is it's going to have a bunch of different custom slugs that you can use with it, and they're going to get their own custom looks. So going from left to right, what you're seeing right now is going to be a standard slug, a hollow point slug, an armor piercing slug, fleckette darts, as well as a taser or electric slug. All these look really cool, and a lot of times things will feature these types of ammo, but we never actually get to see them, and I like this little added detail. And if all that wasn't enough, we even do have some work in progress animations for this by War Daddy. This video is going to be featured on his channel. He also does have a Patreon, so you can check out the link to the video down below so you can make money off that ad revenue or support him on Patreon alternatively. Either way, excited to get some animations for this. Obviously, pump action animations are always something the community likes, myself included. And all around, this is coming together to look like a very promising mod. It's bringing a lot to the table, and it doesn't seem like it's just going to be a basic shoddy. It's going to have a little bit more than that. So we got this thing. I'm not really sure what it is. There's not a ton of details about it, but it looks like it's going to be some type of energy or laser based P. Yeah, I can't actually say what P means, but you can probably infer it. Although the mod author in this is pretty clear that he's not going to make it so it's convertible into anything like an SMG or any of the longer barrel options that you typically see, especially with Fallout 4's new customization system. And I'm honestly okay with that. Obviously, I would love to see an automatic variant. I think this would be very fitting as almost an energy alternative to the 10mm that you do see in Fallout 4. But either way, I really like the look of this. It's actually very similar in aesthetic to one of the mods I covered a few months ago that didn't actually get released, but apparently is still a work in progress. But either way, I like it, and I hope to see some more updates on this going forward. So from hyper-futuristic to old school, we do have the Colt Anaconda. This time around, we actually have some in-game screenshots of this one, so you actually get to see what it's going to look like as you experience it in-game. This is my favorite part of the work-in-progress process because, you actually get an idea of what it's going to be like to experience these. So often some of those renders look so good, and then you see it in-game, and you're like, oh, that's what happened? This time around, I actually think this looks pretty cool. There's something weird going on with the texture. It looks like it's way too gritty for my take, but either way, it still looks like it's going to be fun to use, and even with those texture woes, it definitely looks higher quality than even some of the other revolvers we have in Fallout 4 by default, and even some other mods. Alright, so this is really freaking cool. These are going to be called the Cyberpunk Clawed Combat Gloves. What's going to be is a new mod by Shadow Liger. He does mention how he's wanted to make something cyberpunk for a while, and this is going to be a cool integration of that idea. As you can see, what this is largely going to be are combat gloves that do have these little claws coming out of them. There's going to be 3 settings with these. First, you have the one where the claws are just always there. You're going to have a second one when the claws are never there. I don't know why you would actually use that, but whatever. I guess maybe you just think the gloves on your knuckles look cool. And then there's going to be a third one that's dynamic. So the claws will pop out when you enter combat, not when you unholster these claws, not when you actually put your fists up in Fallout 4, but when you are actually in combat. And he mentions that dynamic variant is going to work both in first person and third person. All around, I think this looks really freaking cool. I'm personally a huge fan of Wolverine. Obviously, this is not the way Wolverine works, but it's very freaking similar, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun in Fallout 4. It looks very high-tech and futuristic, but plausible. Like, I almost am surprised somebody hasn't made this already. It almost has a cross feel to it, and it seems similar to some of the other mods Nero has made, but all around, I love it. I would love to see some other color customization options. It actually looks like there might be blade lengths even included in some of these images, but if there isn't, I would love to also see blade lengths, maybe having some shorter ones versus longer ones, or even maybe one where there's just like one singular blade instead of 4. Either way though, it looks really freaking cool and I'm excited for this mod. Let me actually some more updates on that mod I showed you a little while ago, GoBag Visible W. I actually think that's a work in progress name. More or less what this is doing going forward is the mod is going to use some of the existing backpack mods like survivalist go bags, like the Merc pack including the Rebel armor, and it's actually going to integrate this functionality onto some of those existing backpacks. I like this idea because there are so many backpack mods out there, there's so many armor or clothing mods out there that we already use, and rather than trying to build something from the ground up, this mod seems like it's just going to take advantage of the existing and make it look a heck of a lot cooler. As you can tell by these screenshots, there's going to be functionality for a lot of our favorite mods, a lot of the more recent ones, even some of the older ones. You could spot a few Doom pieces of equipment that we haven't seen for a long time, and just in general, I really like the look this gives off. Maybe I'm a little bit biased in that sense, but this is definitely one of those mods that I would use with my character. One thing I would really love to see is maybe some implementation into things like militarized Minutemen or even some of the other mods that affect levelness. Maybe the Minutemen are going to have a backpack or one of the backpacks from that mod that actually has some of the things in their leveled list attached to it. I think that would be really cool and really take this to the next level and get a lot more people using it. Even if you don't personally want to use this backpack, you could find it on others. Then we do have the Betrayer. This is pretty interesting, kind of takes you back a little bit. We haven't had too many bolt actions in Fallout 4. There was like a craze or a phase when a bunch of people were working on bolt actions. Then we got a few of them, the Mosin and a few others that released in that time. But either way, this time we do have the Betrayer. This is going to be another World War II era piece of equipment. This one actually being used by the Japanese. Technically it is a Type 38 and it looks pretty cool. I personally really enjoy using bolt actions. I like when mod authors correctly implement that trade-off where they do a lot of damage, but obviously since you have to pull the bolt back every time, you do have a very slow rate of fire. I think that puts them in Fallout 4 in a very kind of balanced way. It makes them have trade-offs but still be very usable compared to some of the semi-automatics we do have. And all around, I like the look of this one. The mod author in this does mention he's really just using this as a test to see if he could get something implemented into Fallout 4. I think this would be a great step one. It's fairly basic, it kind of looks like some other mods we have, but hopefully it does have its own little bit of uniqueness around it when it's actually released. So we got some updates from the shiny Haxorus. So more or less the first one's actually going to be this Far Cry optic lenses. If you ever played through Far Cry, any of the games really, you would have probably noticed that a lot of the scopes and sights in them actually have that little red border or red inner shadow is really what it probably is. He mentions here that he's actually just waiting on a few more models for these. He's going to make a small quest to get it. And I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I really like mods like this. I think they add in a cool little aesthetic to the game. Sights are one of those things that you probably have on screen a lot more than you realize. So even smaller changes like this or adding a little bit of extra functionality do just make a big splash after you install them. You start to realize how often you actually are seeing this thing because it stands out a little bit more due to the changes made to it. Then we have some updates to the Scarh H. Largely what we're seeing are a lot of different attachments and some of the different barrel stocks, things like that you're going to have on this. More or less through this post, the shiny Haxorus largely details how he's doing a lot of what people are requesting, or at least some of the requests he was getting over and over again. More so than anything else, I just want to include this as a formality to let you guys know that yes, work is still being done on the Scarh H Reduct, and you don't have to continuously ask me about it in the comments down below, unless, you want to. Alright, so this one actually looks really cool. It's going to be called the Survarium Edgekeeper armor. That probably corresponds to something. I don't know what it does, but actually looking at the screenshot and again looking at this video, it looks like a really cool and interesting piece of armor. This mod author has produced a lot of armors, especially over the past few months. This one actually looks like it's going to be a mashup of some custom assets, some assets used in other mods, as well as some of the vanilla assets, which is really cool. I like that. I like the vibe this gives off. It looks like something that a raider would wear in Fallout 4, and it looks like something that would make a lot of sense to appear in the game. So last but not least, more of a shout out than anything, there was actually a ton of videos posted by Fallout New California. I showed you guys their trailer a few weeks ago, but following that trailer release, they released a bunch of other miscellaneous videos. These are all going to be linked down below and appear on their YouTube account. Obviously, again, if you want to check them out, subscribe to their channel, like their videos, whatever it may be. The first one I'm showing you is this intro video, so what you're going to see when you actually first jump into the mod. Then you also do have the prequel to Chapter 1 cinematic. This looks really cool. They did some really awesome editing with this, and and I'm just really happy with the way that one came out. I think it really just shows the amount of work and time they're putting into these behind the scenes. And then finally, they actually have a test of the new opener, by far the shortest, but either way, if you really want to stay up to date with everything going on, I would check this one out also. Fallout New California, if you don't know, is actually aiming to add in kind of a prequel to Fallout New Vegas, taking place in New California, or really just California. You're going to have your own set of experiences, there's going to be multiple endings, and a lot of cool new content and features, and a whole new storyline. They're getting very close to release. I don't actually know when this is going to be released, but just by the rate at which they're producing the content and how finalized so much of this looks, it seems like hopefully we'll get a beta at some point over the next 6 months or so. Obviously, hopefully even sooner than that, hopefully before we get our new Bethesda Game Studio game, assuming that comes out in this November. But either way, I would love to get to play through this and actually live stream myself playing this over the summer, so hopefully that will be a reality. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. Very different outro. One, there's a face cam, and two, I'm trying to break all the memes. So on most of my other face cams, people are like, grow a beard, or don't wear a hat. So now I'm not, I need to shave. This is actually really long. I don't normally grow my facial hair out nearly this long, but it's actually relevant to a video or something pertaining to that coming soon. And also I'm not wearing a hat, which I normally do. Either way, just rather than this like fun fact, I have this like question. It's really weird. I'm super on the fence about going to E3. I have a press pass or an industry pass, but I don't actually know anyone going. So I pretty much have to go to E3 solo. And yeah, just let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys think I should go? Are any of you guys going to E3? Or, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily do a fan meetup. I don't think I have the audience for that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Should I go to E3? Should I not go to E3? It's expensive. I live on the other side of the country. But, you know, we can make it happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, again, and thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you aren't. And hope to see you all next time. Later.